Hey there, I figured I would go live right now. Stuntman Marq is on the way, but this way I could talk to people for a few minutes before we start. Again, I know Stuntman Marq is on the way. I just got a message from him on Instagram. So that way, talk a few minutes with you guys, answer anything in between before we start the live commentary for Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which is for Predminator, which is a paid request. Thanks to Predminator. Hello there, Bobby. Judgment Day is inevitable as an insult to the first two movies. Yes, I agree. That's one of the reasons I do not like this film. I mean, it's not as bad as Genesis or Dark Fate, but I have a lot of issues with this film. Hey, Jedizilla. Hey, uh, Austin Woodcut. Hey, Bobby Reynolds. Hope you're doing well, Bobby. Government Production. No, I don't know anything about it. Cool Cole Warner. I'm glad that's your favorite. That's cool to hear. But hey, Samuel. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing okay there. Yeah, it's definitely the beginning of the downfall. Hey, Manny Gatillo, how are you doing? Uh, I'm waiting for Stuntman Marq to come on. But until then, what is your guys' least favorite and favorite Terminator film? I could ask that in the chat. What is your favorite Terminator film and what is your least favorite Terminator film? I can at least ask that. Terminator, I mean, we'll try. I mean, I'm just waiting for Stuntman Marq. Oh, speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. Here we go. The man, the myth, the
What's up,
legend.
everybody?
How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking the time to do this. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. This is going to be fun.
No, but fuck you, Mark. Uncle Bill, man.
it's,
Giving you shit already.
I
He's
know,
not even
right?
in this chat. He's not even on. You come on here, Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
I'll snap you on the back.
Exactly. What are you doing right now? You get on here.
Do it to his face.
That's right.
I don't even know if the guys at Deadpan have seen these later Terminator films.
I'm
I
sure
don't
they've
think they've ever talked
resisted.
about them.
I'm sure they've resisted watching at all costs.
Hey, John, the Zero Cool. Hope you're doing well. Terminator. I mean, this is for him. He said wait for a few minutes, which is cool to let people come in and get in and say hi to people. But to ask you, when did you first see this film,
Oh, when it first came out.
Terminator 3? When it first came out?
Yeah, I was all over it. I mean, much like everybody else, we've been waiting for like a decade, by that point to see another follow up. So, of course, I would have been fine with it staying where it was. T2's pretty epic, but I mean, let's be honest, if there's a sequel like to something like Terminator 2, regardless of who's involved, you're going to be interested. So,
And what was your initial thought after the theater? And has that changed since? Has it the same,
I've gone
different?
I've gone back and forth a bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, of course I was a lot younger then, so but I never thought it was as good as T2 or the first
Yeah.
film even. But when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's watchable, like it's entertaining. Um, and on repeat viewings, like most of us, we start to see more of the flaws and stuff that you didn't catch the first time around. And yeah, man, it doesn't. A lot of it doesn't hold up. Um, I'm not
Talk
so
to the
sure that it.
hand.
Go ahead. What's up?
Talk to the hand. You know, that whole shit. We'll see that.
Oh no.
When you see the stripper clothes.
Yeah.
Strippers.
Oh god.
Did you know that's what Terminator needed? Terminator needed more male strippers. That's what it needed.
He needed to hang
Because
drapes. That's what he needed.
uh, so, and before we start, what is your favorite and least favorite Terminator film?
Least favorite, Dark Fate for sure. That's
How about favorite?
it's between the first one and the second one. That's always something I could go back and forth. I mean, depending on the day, I'd go back and forth and say T1, then T2, then T1. There's so many great things about the first one, though. I mean, it's got all these really dark elements. It kind of feels like a horror film in a way. I love the really low budget nature of it. The score is pretty different, and I like that. Um,
Yeah.
oh man, just I mean, it's so simple. Like when you think about it, like concept wise, like even the chase scene, like in the parking garage, I love that. But the music adds to it so much. Of course, the infamous like police station massacre. That's amazing. I mean, that's still probably the scene to watch. If you show anybody the movie that hasn't seen it and they just want to see a clip, that's what you go to. I mean, I couldn't think of anything that firmly establishes his character as being a pure badass or walking death. Even, I mean, if you weren't convinced by that point, I mean, after that scene, you're convinced. Okay, like there's no stopping this guy. Like this is this is it. He's walking death.
Yeah, I would say the first one is my favorite. I love the horror film tone, and
Mm-hmm.
they've never gone to their sense. And
Yeah.
Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton, like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
the score felt more, in a weird way, like for me, it always felt more epic in the first movie. Just I know technically it's more epic in the second one, but I think because that horror action meld is very appealing to me
Yeah.
because of that. It was a slasher film. It was like an interesting way to do a slasher film with these
That's right.
sci-fi elements.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the issue that happened is, while I do like Terminator 2, I do like the film. It
Mm-hmm.
started this thing where even in that film, you see the little nuggets of, and it makes sense for the plot, but okay, I promise I'm gonna not kill anyone, and shooting people in kneecaps, and it made sense for the story. And even the deleted scene where he's being taught to smile, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Arnold's doing this. Now every film wants to be a wannabe T2, and you definitely saw it in Dark Fate
Yeah.
with the Mexican Terminator, the Mexicanator, and shooting John Connor in the face.
Dude, I tried so hard to not see that movie. Like a friend of mine told me everything that happened. And I'm like, no, spoil it. Like if it's as bad as you're saying, tell me. I want to know because like I don't want to pay money to go see it. I think everybody was excited to have Cameron back involved. Tim Miller was just coming off Death Proof. So there was some hype there.
Deadpool.
Um, did I say Death Proof?
Yeah, he's a death
Did I?
proof.
Okay.
Like
Deadpool.
Tarantino. I mean, if Tarantino did a Terminator movie, that'd be interesting.
That would have been incredible, right? Um,
Deadpool.
yeah, so like it had some stuff going for it, but like I mean, it just we all know the issues with that movie. I think everybody's seen it by now. Like it's just
Um,
it's so bad.
yeah, I mean, while again, this film's nowhere near as bad as those films, it's still to me not. I had some good action scenes.
Hmm.
Nick Stahl, I do like,
Yeah, me too.
but it just was a down. I don't think it was a needed sequel, and it's like all these franchises where you only needed a certain amount of movies, and the plot I don't like because it completely negates everything about T2. Fate is what you make of it. Psych!
Right.
No, it's not. Bullshit. Bullshit. The Kevin Demistas didn't do your dirty work. Bullshit.
Yeah,
Dark
dude. I mean,
fate ain't what you make. It's
among
inevitable.
so many things that it gets wrong, like the most obvious and the easiest thing to get right, it got wrong. Which you remember the sequence at the end where Arnold has Nick Stahl in the car, and he talks the Terminator down. He talks him out of killing him, and I'm like, what? Like, isn't that the line in the first movie? He can't be bargained with. He can't be reasoned with.
You
Like,
reasoned it.
and he does exactly that. And I'm like, oh no, like it's so simple. Why even put a scene like that in? So, I mean, we'll get into it though.
Well, even the whole no pity, no remorse, and then what happened in Dark Fate, he had pity and became a window washer or draper or whatever the hell it did.
It doesn't, oh man, dude, that movie, it makes no sense. I have to think that like somebody took a joke in the writing room one step too far, and it just never ended. They're like, okay, how can we make that joke even funnier? What else can we do? What else can we do?
Hilarious.
Which
So
is
he's
worse.
asking for you.
Ooh. Um, probably Dark Fate. Just that opening. I mean, who wants to see John Connor die? Especially when you have Eddie Furlong come back, and then they do all the de-aging work. So it's like when that film starts, and you don't know what's coming if if you haven't been spoiled or anything. So you think like, wow, they did it. This is, I mean, even Arnold looks cool. I mean, he's a lot younger, like looking like they DH him as the Terminator. You remember that, right? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
like, and then things sort of line up with Sarah, and I'm like, this is it. Yes, they did it. And boom, he's dead. I'm like,
They did all right.
yeah.
Certainly
Yeah.
did.
So it makes me think, what's the point of that? And then I had to go online and find out why. And then I saw Tim Miller say something like he wanted the savior to be like the everyman. So it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be someone prophesized. And he kind of liked that idea. And I'm like, but the Danny Ramos character is awful. That's an awful character. Like, you kill a great character, replace it with a bad character. Where's the logic in that? Just, I don't get it. I'll never understand.
They do a lot in sequels, they make previous films useless and they think that's good storytelling.
It's not at all. At all. And it's funny, like we didn't even mention Salvation. What do you think of that
You
one?
asshole. Just wait, Uncle Bill, you asked.
Oh
Got
my
blown away. Great start. Heartfelt movie, 10 out of 10 IGN. Exactly.
whatever.
Academy Award for most shots to the face. Eddie Furlong wins. How many shots do you get in the face? But sorry, what was your question?
Salvation. We didn't mention that one. What do you think of that one? I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about that one.
In retrospect, I don't mind it for what it is as a time waster, but there's a lot of lost opportunity. Mid-G was not the right director because the guy who did Charlie's Angels is not the guy, in my opinion, to do a Terminator movie.
Okay.
PG-13, I don't think it should have been PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
A Terminator PG-13 just doesn't sound right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Terminators did look like Transformers. Some of the bigger ones,
Mm-hmm.
like the one at the gas station. But you know what? As an action film and to take place in a future war, it was interesting. It didn't really screw around too much with the previous films,
Mm-hmm.
but I do wish it was more grittier. When you looked at the flashbacks in the first movie,
Right.
they see how darker and grittier atmospheric, and this is more of a prettier, not pretty, but like more CGI heavy.
Yeah.
Getting close to a Michael Bay universe type. And
right.
I don't mind it. I think it's inoffensive. I think it could have been better though. And Christian Bale, I don't mind, but I think he could have. I expected maybe a bit more out of him. I don't know, like Christian Bale, but then it's like it's not really the performance I remember him from, compared to like American Psycho and even Equilibrium, which I love.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I remember more his rant about lights more than his performance. So it's okay, but I guess I would put a third after 1 and 2 because
Okay.
it's inoffensive to me.
Yeah, I agree. I also like it for having the balls to ditch like the making it a chase movie. I mean, because essentially the first two films are kind of like it's the cat and mouse thing, you know, like that's very much like part of the plot. Like that's fine. I mean, if you do something like that and you do it again in the second film, at least up the stakes, step everything up, make it the proper sequel. Sort of like Aliens, for example. Like it kind of is a slasher, but I mean, look what Cameron did. He introduced the Queen alien, which is an amazing puppet in effect. All the other characters that you get, I mean, their banter, it's all, you know, it steps everything up. That's the proper sequel if you're going to take that kind of a route. So with this, like you said, it's not as egregious. It doesn't break any of your rules to me. Like Salvation sort of has its own path, and I like the subplot with the Sam Worthington character. That was interesting. Um, could it have gone
And
farther?
Anton Yelchin was
Oh yeah,
pretty good in it.
that's true. And rest in peace to him. I thought he was a really good actor. He was in some really cool movies there for a while. But yeah, I'd probably put it as the third up as well. It's, I mean, what does that say about these other films? Like where McGee's movie is the best amongst these other ones. Like,
That says a lot. That does say a lot. But hello to everyone in the chat. Arcade, Hunk 100, Austin Wilcott, Gary Blow Jr., DJ Donnelly, Neopunk, James. What do you say? It exists. It's like Stream says. It does nothing new at all and also nothing completely horrible except Hayden Panera bread. Bread's acting. Bread's acting? Breeds?
yeah, it's he's making fun of her last name.
Oh, yeah, Panera Bread. Okay.
It's
Yeah, I don't know why it took me
Panettiere.
so long to figure that out. I still haven't
Um,
seen Scream 6. Fucking.
yeah, that was it wasn't as annoying or as offensive as I thought that'd be. So it was just there. Like he kind of said, like it was there.
I would probably hate the hell out of it, but that's me. I
You
hate
might.
everything. So
You might.
I hate everything. So
I actually thought
apart
Dermot
from
Mulroney was way worse in it than Hayden, but that's just me. And I like him
I've
as an
heard that.
actor, but that's horrible performance by him.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
But we're get ready. We're paused at the beginning for folks out there that want to follow along. I will count down. I'll say 3, 2, 1, press play. And when I say press play, you press play.
Give me 1 second.
Nope.
Let me make sure I'm at 0.
No
here.
problem.
Make sure.
You're right. They're both awful.
Everybody was so excited for her to come back too. That's what's so funny.
I'm like, I don't care because I could never get. No, should have had more Creed. What if? What if?
That makes
what
everything
if
better. More Creed. Let's see.
You know what? I saw the other one the other day as you're getting ready. A film called Sick that Kevin Williamson wrote. I didn't mind it for what it was.
Yeah, I watched that whenever it was that like first dropped on Peacock. I didn't mind it either. Especially because something like that actually happened. So yeah, I thought that was I don't think that was like his take on it or anything. I think it was just coincidence, but I do remember
What
like
really happened.
I don't think it's connected, but I do remember early on, like when they were, I mean, the media was pushing COVID to be like a straight death sentence. Like if you get it, you're done.
Yeah.
And I think it was like in the early months of it happening, I saw a story about a guy murdering his wife because she gave him COVID. I was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Like that's that's as heavy as it gets. But just the yeah, I know. Just the whole idea that I'm sorry, I might be spoiling that actually. I'm kind of spoiling the plot of Sick if nobody's seen it. But It makes
that's fine. I go for it. Man, that is. I didn't know that really happened, but I guess I can't be surprised. I mean, when people are ready to stab people in the ass for toilet paper, I
or
guess there's a
French
lot of
fries.
crazy people. French fries?
Yeah, I mean, there was a murder that took place over French fries. I mean, you see it all the time. Like people get shot in the
What? Wait, wait,
drive-through
wait,
because
wait.
their food's not done right, or like, I mean,
What was it
somebody.
at McDonald's or something?
This was so
French fries.
long ago. Like, I think it might have been like White Castle or something. Um, but I
Oh,
think the most
was it Harold or Kumar?
probably both. But there was a story not too long ago. I mean, somebody like freaking killed somebody over like too much mayo on their sandwich at Subway. So it's like, people are just crazy. You got to be careful out
Well,
there.
I'm definitely gonna look this story up. So you're telling me that maybe at a White Castle, someone murdered someone over French fries.
Yeah, but again, this was like a decade ago, so like it might be kind of hard to find. But you
Did
could
they
find the
steal the
Subway
guy's
one.
French fries or
I can't remember. I just remember that was like the headline. Someone died over French fries. I was like, what? Like that's
what
insane.
is it, Pete David from Lethal Weapon 1? You don't steal another man's French fries. Oh,
That's a
I
great
didn't
scene.
even remember that.
I love that movie.
Give me a name. Isn't your parents supposed to do that? No, give me a name. But uh, feel free to let me know when you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Cool. But yeah, we got both the Dead Pig guys. We had Wes and Uncle Bill. Hey, what's going on, man? Hope you're having a good night.
What's up, guys?
I know your birthday's coming up. Wish you a happy birthday. I'll try to stop by in the chat, Wes. So we're at the beginning. We'll count backwards. When I 3, 2, 1, press play. Press play when I say press play. So 3, 2, 1, pressing play. And for syncing for anyone out there, we have the logo coming up of the W and the B, which I wonder when they got the Terminator franchise because Carrico had done Terminator 2
Mm-hmm.
and turning 29. Hey, good look at 29, Wes. But so this came out in 2003,
Mm-hmm.
and you had mentioned you've seen this in the theater. I had seen this in the theater as well
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up. Well, not this time. I was near a movie theater. Probably went to a theater like once a week because I lived near a theater. So a lot of films 2003 I saw at the theater, like Bad Boys 2,
Yep, me too.
Matrix sequels,
Me
even
too.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Like I would see
Wow.
almost any movie in the theaters. But Jonathan Mostow, good director. He did U571. He did Breakdown, which is a great
I
movie
love
with
Breakdown.
Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm. He's a co-writer on
Did
that
he
too.
do any? He wrote it too, yeah. Did
Mm-hmm.
he do anything after this?
After
Like it seemed like he disappeared.
the movie he did
Jonathan Mostow. Yeah.
after Terminator 3, I think was it the Surrogates movie with Bruce Willis? I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No wonder I forgot. I didn't mind it, but it's not a memorable movie.
Mm-hmm. Like so many films in the latter career of Bruce Willis.
Yeah, and I would Breakdown. I would say is my favorite of Jonathan Mostow's.
Definitely.
What about your?
Oh, for sure, Breakdown.
Would you?
Yeah, it's got
So
everything.
here we get the.
So good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's got everything. I mean, it's a great road movie. Um, it's got that really nice thriller aspect to it. Some pretty cool action scenes. All the performances are fantastic. Of course, Kurt Russell's great in everything. So is JT Walsh, Kathleen Quinlan, like all around, top to bottom, like co-stars, leads, like it's all really great, and the story is just perfect. I think, especially in a decade where there's so many like incredibly violent movies. Not that there's anything wrong with that because I love that, but it just has such it's its own thing, And I'm so glad there was never any sequels or anything like that, because it's such a perfect story like unto itself, and it should just be that. And I miss that, like having movies that are just its own thing. Everything's a fucking franchise now.
Tell me about it. So we have the bit of the future war, and it's patriotic because you stand from the American flag.
Right.
You always kind of have that. Spider-Man did it. Everybody does it. And we have Nick Stahl as John Connor, who I thought he did a good job. I know he went through a lot of troubles. There was a point where he seemed like he disappeared and no one knew what happened to him. Kind of like
I do remember
he was just
that, yeah.
out of the ether. And I think he turned up later, but I don't know if he's doing anything at all. But
the last thing I can remember him in
yeah.
was, I think it was it the Mirrors sequel? I think it was Mirrors 2, the Alex Aja movie. Like, I think that was like around 2009 or 2010. I'm not 100% sure, but that was the last thing I remember seeing him in.
Who has a bigger ego, Cameron or Chris Carter?
Oh, God.
I gotta go with Jimmy Cammey. When you win an award and you literally go, I'm king of the world, like you did Titanic, fucking hell. And
he is the king.
Yeah, the king of my ass. The last thing I liked from that guy was True Lies. That's for me. I don't like Titanic. I don't like Avatar.
I said it in the chat.
For me.
I said it in your chat before. Like, Cameron died in '94, like after True Lies. He made, I think it was 5 movies in between 1984 and 1994, and those were all amazing movies. And that's his career to me. I'll give him Titanic for like the type of story that he did do with it and what he was able to accomplish with effects and stuff, and even the scope and scale of it is, I'll give it to him. That's impressive, especially for 1997. But
I don't think he died. I think Linda Hamilton like took his balls in the divorce or something, like or something like that. He's like, some type of surgery. Because we both, I think, said, believe it or not, Salvation. I would actually put after 1 and 2 because it was inoffensive, and this, I mean, it didn't really ruin the stories of the others, unlike Talk to the Hand and all this other shit.
Yeah. This one was in development for so long. Like, there were so many rights issues with it bouncing back and forth between different people, a whole lot of court stuff. And I think Dimension even threw their hat in like in a bidding war to like get rights or something. And for the longest time, Cameron didn't really want to be involved on the back end of it and just doing a movie for someone else. He wanted to be more involved in a different way. But Arnold kept pushing him to direct and buy the rights. He said, like, we should buy the rights. Let's own this. And then we can just make whatever film we want. But Cameron apparently at the time was not interested in being that type of a guy in Hollywood. But it's bizarre because like then like he buys the rights back, almost 2 decades later, and it's not really worth what it once was back when he could have had it. It's like, why the fuck did you wait 2 decades? Now people have, hoarded out and like done all these different takes with it. And it's like, what is it worth now? Like, I mean, he tried to salvage it, but I mean, Miller wasn't the right way to go with it at all. He should have just done it himself if he really wanted to see another sequel.
I think Wes said he couldn't get through Genesis. I don't blame you.
Oh, yeah.
You got Kristanna Loken's ass, so that makes at least this already better than Genesis and Dark Fate. So you got that. And Marco Beltrami does a score, so Brad Fiedel doesn't even come back.
Yeah, I love Beltrami, but I would have preferred. Oh, that's nice super chat there. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, Mary Widow been very kind. always send like crazy super chats and stickers. Thank you so much. And it is a her, and she knows because I'm a big fan of Sandra Bullock, so she knows I'm a big fan of Sandra Bullock. So I see right there. So I won't leave that up for a little bit because the least I could do. But thank you so much, Barry Widow. Thank you so much. And I didn't show it here, but on the chat here, it's a little figure playing the drums on a bunch of buildings. That's an interesting sticker. That'd be me, talking about Dark Fate. Just fucking this shit. The same with Genesis. Just it's more I say to Genesis. I'd rather be playing Sega Genesis than watching Genesis.
Right?
Can't even spell Genesis right, for fuck's sake, with a Y. How fucking stupid you're to play Genesis with a Y. You're welcome. Thank you, man. But is this thing coming up is like part of the humor is that get bigger boobs. I'm like, I guess they would put that with the Terminator. I guess with the TX, but
yeah,
maybe she's like maybe like Species with Natasha Henstridge, which I was surprised she never tried to seduce anyone. Which you would think that model would be more for, but apparently just unless it's the boobs, that's all you know.
They're so covered. It's like it's not going to be as appealing. Unbutton that top there.
Yeah, this is rated R, but at times it almost does feel PG-13. I don't know why. Maybe that's just me.
So. No, you're right. It does.
Do you think they were thinking of doing PG-13, but they went for R, or that was just them toning down?
It kind of seems that way. Like, I think that's what they were going for, but then they're like, well, like, I mean, I can't even think of any scenes that would warrant this film to be R, except maybe like I know the TX impales the guy through his back.
Yeah,
she drives the car from the back seat while her arms through the body. Other than something like that, I can't even see like what the deal was with that with the R rating.
Yeah, she was mating before mating, I guess. Now this guy here, I recognize because he's in a personal favorite of mine, who plays the dad. David Andrews was in a childhood favorite of mine called Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. He played the lead guy, and he plays the drifter that comes in for the cotton mill.
That's right.
Where he works for the Stephen Mott, which I always love Stephen Mott. Bravo.
He's fantastic in that.
That's where you get your sausage.
I love that movie so much.
Bravo. Was it the last time you've been to a graveyard? I love that accent. It's like, have you done the picker?
Yeah. His accent is priceless.
That basement has been clean since Christ was a kid.
Brad Dourif is wonderful in that. Always a great foil to have in any film.
Yeah, he showed what he could do with such a small role to make himself actually cry and all that. It is pretty effective.
Yeah. And that was kind of his signature for a while. He would do that in quite a few movies, just have the tear from one eye come down.
I do remember that, yeah. Her other claim to fame is Blood Rain.
That movie could have been so much better. I always complain about it because I'm like, only Uwe Boll could make a lesbian sex scene in a movie boring. Like, what? What happened to him, actually? I mean, it was kind of fun to follow his career just to laugh at his work, but do you know what he's done lately? Or has he done anything?
He tried to go a little bit legit, making those the Rampage trilogy and Assault on Wall Street. And it's funny because the guys at Death Pit and me have both been in two different Uwe Boll documentaries.
Yeah,
because the guys at Death Pit were in one documentary where you guys had the belts and pretend to go have a tag team match against Uwe. And then I was in another documentary. It was like an old ancient review where I talked shit about Postal. I pretty much said Uwe Boll can suck my dick. That's what they put in it. And I talked to the director briefly on Instagram, and he was nice about it. He said, "Oh, I thought someone talked to you," and I'm like, "No, no one did, but that's cool." But He's like, yeah, I met the guy and I put you in it because I thought your review was funny. So I mean, the guy was nice about it, but I'm like,
That's awesome.
go figure. That's Uwe Ball, if he did a Terminator film, Jesus, I don't know, it'd be better or worse than Darth Vader.
Oh,
Sad,
there's no
sad to
question to be
say.
worse. Predminator says he likes Kristana Loken in this. He likes Patrick, but
What
he
your
prefers Kristana
yeah?
Loken. That's interesting.
What are your thoughts on Christina Loken? To me, I guess if I'm being serious, I'm indifferent. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't really see anything that egregiously awful. It's just
Mm-hmm.
after the T1000 and the liquid metal, where could you go that would be really that different other than they did the nano machines, but they didn't seem as cool for me as
Mm-hmm.
it didn't. It seemed like once you did the liquid metal, kind of hard to beat that
Right.
with the TX.
Yeah, I
What are your
mean,
thoughts on
um, I think the problem with the TX, at least for me, is the fact that they didn't utilize enough of her abilities in cool ways. You got to see everything she could do. She could like sample blood, I think, by tasting it, so she could like figure out whose blood it was, and I guess maybe that help her find her target. She could control other machines and stuff, but it doesn't really feel like she was a more advanced model than the T1000, even though
it?
technically
Yeah,
she is superior, but it just didn't feel that way.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
here we go,
yeah.
ladies' night. It's ladies' night. Ooh, what a fright!
It's funny because like
Some of these women,
they,
definitely frightful.
yeah, they had like, what was it, like 10,000 something women that like auditioned for the role of the TX, and she won out
Yeah,
of everybody. So I mean, they definitely saw something in her, and I think she
Jesus
does a
Christ.
decent job. Yeah, this is
For those who are not watching along, this is when he's staring at the male stripper who's literally, bitch, wait your turn. Talk to the hand. And Arnold actually tossed to the hand
yeah.
for crying out loud. Like, when you first saw us in the theater, do you, it's hard to remember your first impression, but like,
Oh, I face
what do you
palmed.
think about what just happened?
I face palmed. That was my reaction. Yeah, I was like, "What? That did not
What's
just
the
happen."
glass? What's the Elton John glasses for?
More comedy.
Then for Stardust. Well, where the
Yeah.
hell?
Hmm. It's
Who said
cringeworthy.
Terminator films needed comedy?
I have no idea.
Were the first two films known for their comedy?
No.
If anyone in the chat, were the Terminator films known for comedy? The worst bit I was thinking of is Terminator Genesis, when you go from the police station in the first film, and then this you have the cops, bad boys, what you gonna do playing, and
Mhm.
they're the mud shot where Arnold is smiling, and bad boys, what you gonna do when they come for you? I'm like, what the hell is going on? What in the frying titty fuck is going on that I'm seeing here? It makes as much sense as a football bat or $4 bill. It's fucking stupid. And this is the type of thinking that just gives you the rash on the ass. I just
Yeah.
don't get this type of thinking that people get into, and they cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And what someone
Mhm.
said was the best action movie of the year. Okay,
Yeah, no, the critics
geez, their
are
own.
literally stupid. I mean, I think it was it Richard Roper? He said like Matrix Reloaded surpassed the original, and I'm like, are you serious? Really?
Uh, yeah, I wouldn't say that. Yeah.
And with the TX actually accomplishing some of her mission here, taking out some of the resistance leaders that are supposed to help Connor in the future, was kind of a cool take on things. I did appreciate that.
Yeah, that's true. But it's one of those scenes of I guess they just gave up on trying to kill him. Like, okay, why wouldn't they try to go back again and send more Terminators? And when when Sarah Connor was pregnant, like, why don't they try to send 2 Terminators, 3 Terminators, 4 Terminators?
Yeah.
It's like, is there some kind of rule that it only has to be 1, but they could keep sending more in back?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the second film, I mean, they sent a pretty advanced Terminator. I mean, he was more than capable of getting the job done. But I don't think they anticipated all the training and everything that Sarah had been through. I mean, what a jump of character progression from the first. She's a waitress at some shitty diner or something in the first movie, and
But like, knowing what
by
they
that.
know now,
Mhm.
why don't they try to send a T-1000 back to the first film? Like, okay,
Mhm.
we sent a T-1000 then,
Mhm.
knowing what we know now. Why didn't they try to send one then
Yeah.
back in 1984?
Yeah, I suppose that would have been the smarter route to take, but wasn't that part of Genesis in some way? Now, it's been forever since I've seen Genesis, and I tried to forget it. But
Well,
wasn't there
they
something like
killed
that?
John Connor in that one as well, and they turned him the Nano Terminator, and it changed
Hmm.
the timeline and destroyed the timeline. And
Hmm.
Predminator, for those wondering, it's around 19 minutes and 30 seconds around there for the timestamp. And I just don't think you needed this movie. Of course, you never need movies. It's a business. I understand. It's
Hmm.
part of the business of Hollywood. But how many times have they had a franchise keep going and going and it ends on a positive note that, yes, I'm glad they did that?
I'd have to spend some time thinking about that because off the top of my head, I can't even think of one. And if it takes me that long, I mean, then, well, you pretty much got your answer.
I mean, I understand it's to make money. And also, this is Arnold's retirement movie for a while
That's
because he went
right.
into office.
Yeah.
So it's one of the other reasons Arnold wanted to do it, because he didn't know if he'd be back in films or when it would be, because he wanted to be the governor of California, and people hated him doing that, from what I understand. I was in California, but people in California said he was awful in it. Uh, but
Yeah, I've heard that
this is
too.
when he went to retire and be the California governor. And
Yeah, he wasn't even going to do 3 because for so long Cameron wasn't attached and he felt loyalty to him, rightfully so. And I mean, they're friends in real life as well, not just business partners, but he didn't want to do it just because of Cameron. But Cameron was like, if they write a good script, they're going to pay you a ton of money, do it. Why? Don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. Just do your thing. So eventually, he lands up in this one and every sequel thereafter. But it shouldn't have happened. None of them should have happened.
yeah, Premier says he got 30 million for T3. I mean,
Hmm.
I couldn't turn down 30 million, so I guess I would have done it too.
And
But
20% of the profits as well from the box office.
although I don't know how well this did compared to the other films.
Yeah, in
So,
comparison, I'm not sure, but I think this one did about between 400 and 500 million. And I think the budget was around like 180 or 190 million. So it was pretty decent profit.
I think someone had asked, like, if this is not the best action movie of the year, like, what would you say is the best action movie of 2003? I mean, I'd have to look at a list, but I could
Hmm.
easily tell you, despite what Will Smith going through, I
Hmm.
still like Bad Boys 2 for how insane it is. And I would say I
Yeah.
like Bad Boys 2 a lot more than this, because
Hmm.
that's like Michael Bay's exploitation movie in a
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
dead bodies falling out from the back, filled with drugs, getting run over into pieces.
Yeah.
Rat fucking.
Yeah.
People get shot in booty holes. Just like if a exploitation got their hands on $100 million and made a fucking buddy cop action movie. I love how insane that movie is.
Yeah.
And I'd have to look at a list, but I know there's some others I do like more than this.
Yeah, all of those were in the top 10 highest earning movies of 2003. Terminator 3, Matrix Reloaded, Bad Boys 2. Those were all in the top 10. I think Lord of the Rings as well.
And Claire Danes, I didn't mind as well. What were your thoughts on Claire Danes, if any? What do you think? How do you think she dealt with this role?
She did pretty good. There was somebody else cast before her, and they got fired from the movie because Jonathan Mostow liked the actress, but she wasn't old enough or something like that. And she did like filming for like about a month or so, and then they went with Claire Danes, and I think the day she got hired was the day she started filming. So she went to work on this movie right away, and I thought she did a good job. I mean, she's not given a ton to do other than like be scared and stuff like that, but she's not bad.
That's true. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I'm not sure who was cast before. If anyone in the chat knows, feel free to let us know.
I'm trying to think. I think it was it Sophie Bush? Was it Sophia Bush or Sophie Bush? I can't remember. I think it was her though.
Not sure.
Because she was like the It actress at the time. Well, up and coming It actress.
I don't know how true this is, but I was looking up some stuff, and it said some of the people up for the role of the TX. They said one of them was China.
That's right. I remember Arnold wanted her to be in it. Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, I mean, rest in peace, China, but
yeah,
I don't know about that.
No, not at all. I'm glad that did not happen. What's up, Anthony?
Hey, Anthony, hope you're doing well, man. Hey, Anthony, how would you feel as China from WWF the TX? Because apparently Arnold wanted her. God, no. I mean, rest in peace, China, like I said, but I don't see her as that. I just don't.
Yeah, not at all.
Maybe that's just,
I remember there was some talk too at one point about the TX being, I think Stan Winston wanted it to be more of an androgynous look for the endoskeleton. And there was some talk at one point of changing it from a woman to a man. And then they were thinking of casting Vin Diesel. So I think he was right off of Pitch Black and Fast and the Furious. And that was an idea that was floating around. I think that might have been just a rumor, but I do remember seeing that. Would you have liked Vin Diesel over Kristanna Loken? What do you think about that?
So Vin Diesel would have been androgynous?
Yeah, I mean, he would have been the DX.
The DX, that's right. You all about family. Family. Need to go kill you for my family. I mean, at the time, it would have been interesting because I think Vin Diesel had that voice and cadence. Would have been interesting, sure. But I mean, I'm sure the also thought process is, okay, it's interesting because now you have a female Terminator. We haven't seen that before. Right. So will that create some kind of intrigue with it? Would it have saved the film for me? No. Would it have been interesting? I would have been curious about it, sure. Because I think he does have that look, and voice and cadence to play a machine, whether androgynous or whatever the hell they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of
But
Stan Winston, though, what do you think about his design for the TX?
I mean, damn, he flew away. Just got blasted to shit. It was okay. It was nothing memorable. Like, I know I've seen it before, and I've seen this film a couple times, but I guess, I don't know what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty indifferent. I don't know. It didn't really impress me, or it didn't blow me away or anything. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen much worse as well. What about you?
Um, I would have liked to seen the other design to make it more of the endoskeleton more of a blank slate. Because once you do
Hmm.
see the nano particles or whatever like off of it, it is so clearly feminine that I don't want to sound non woke or anything, but like it doesn't have that threatening vibe to it because it's so feminine looking. So it's like, yeah. But again, it's not a bad design, like you said. I've seen
She's
worse
a
as
chick
well.
with a dick. That's threatening enough.
Now that's scary.
Yeah, I'd be scared of that too. But I mean, you were talking about like chase movies. This is a chase movie as well. Like, after a point, like every other film became a chase movie. Like, even Dark Fate was a chase movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. Like, Terminator, if that was the case, then maybe it's a franchise that doesn't have as many legs as people thought it did.
Well,
And because Terminator 2 was so successful, like, we just remake T2 again and again.
yeah, that was one of the things that I kind of thought like a few times, like during the initial watch. I'm like, so much comedy and so much of this feels like it could be almost like a parody of T2. Um, I do know that like the original screenplay, I don't know every detail, but I do remember one of the details was that they were going to ditch the idea of it being a road movie and it wasn't going to be a chase thing. What it was supposed to be originally, I don't know. I've only seen like tidbits here and there of like stuff like the TX was going to have the ability to be invisible, shit like that. So, I mean, I know Mostow omitted that from the script because he's like, that's not visceral. Like, she's just invisible and she pops up whenever. No, I don't want that. So that was one of his changes. I know he brought two writers on to change the original screenplay.
Thank you, Mary Widow. And yes, the non woke answer is the correct answer, or whatever. But thank you, Mary. But I do think this movie kind of fucking sucks in a way. But it does have good action scenes and is an interesting idea that she could control these vehicles, because it does create one of the best action scenes in the movie
Probably
with
the
a
best.
decent amount of with a decent amount of practical.
Mm-hmm.
But this
Yeah,
seems like a pretty big pop. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like they built all that stuff, so I appreciate that they built it all to destroy it. That was the old school way of doing it, and not just making everything completely CGI.
Yeah. To CGI, to me, I'm sorry, folks, CGI ages worse than practical. Yes, there is some practical that have aged, but you just say there's a charm and fun to it. CGI to me ages more poorly. And you
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of CGI from either the 90s or even this era. It does stick out more than the real stuff because you can't get more real than real.
Exactly.
And maybe it was good at the time, but it does age quicker to me than practical.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's just my thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, at the time, I thought it was questionable even then. So watching it 20 years later, it's like it's even more questionable. So
But no, Mary, you're cool. Yeah, Stuntman Marq. Yeah, no problem, Mary.
Oh yeah,
She was
no
typing
harm.
too fast. She didn't put the full name. Uh, but yeah, like Premier was saying, a lot of this is practical, and that's what helps make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say the best action scene in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You would think there would be a great power to control multiple vehicles, and that's never used again. I don't think in any other parts of the franchise. I may be wrong.
I think the Rev 9 Terminator does it in Dark Fate.
Oh, he does. Well,
Yeah.
shows how much I remember Dark Fate.
Well, I mean, I only remember that because I've seen it more recently than I have Genesis, but I completely block out Genesis. I remember literally nothing from that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you have a very petite Sarah Connor that looks like if you walk by her, you almost stepped on her, and you have uh John. You have what's that guy from A Good Day Die Hard? Played John McClane's son. He was
Right, right. I
in
can't remember his name
Genesis.
right now.
Jai Courtney.
That's right. Yeah, that's him.
See someone. You have to ask Mark because at least I don't remember the movie.
I think it's in the sequence where I want to say like when they first meet Sarah, when like Sarah first shows up. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember him doing something like that. If I'm
I think
wrong, I'm
I
wrong.
thought because I thought he created a new like a second version of him.
I remember that too. Yeah,
Dark Fate sucks either way. It don't matter.
that's true. I mean, and I've only seen it once, and that's all I ever need to see. I don't need to watch it again.
But I did your credit. Like this is some pretty good stunt work with the way of having a guy look like he hit an ambulance and all this
Hmm.
stuff. Like Jonathan Mostow, I will say, directed this action scene fairly well
Hmm.
with how much he could put on screen, how much was done for real practical, how, like someone mentioned, other than maybe the flip at the end, this is all done for real and lack of CG. I could give it that to give you some bang for your buck.
Hmm.
It's just the comedy and the story doesn't really make. You have good action scenes, but
Hmm.
sometimes that's not enough.
No,
Sometimes.
I remember Arnold saying
Like
he
this,
did a
this is
lot of his
pretty.
own stunt work, and
Like
there were a lot of
that's a
close
pretty
calls.
massive bit. Yeah. Like for those who aren't watching, I mean, he's on a crane and he's crashing through this entire building. We just got through that. Like that's some pretty massive stuff. For it felt like a big movie. It felt like
Hmm.
a big budget. I mean, I would say this feels a bit bigger compared to like Genesis and Dark Fate, and that's probably one of the things that
Hmm.
I would put this over those two. Other than, despite me not being a fan of the story, I still think it's a better story than Dark Fate or Genesis.
Yeah.
It doesn't have John Connor shot in the face with a double barrel shotgun or whatever the hell it was. It doesn't have, the old original Terminator getting killed with one bullet like a bitch in heat, like in Genesis. Here's a great classic Terminator. One shot, he dead. One shot, one kill. Might have been Tom Berenger from Sniper, just shot him in the fucking head. But do you think they should have stopped at two, or if you wanted a sequel, what would you like to have seen?
um, Honestly, I'm not really sure where you go with it after T2. And Cameron, for a while, was on the fence of doing three. I mean, there were so many reasons, but another reason I remember him saying was he felt like he had told the story completely. Like one and
Yeah,
two kind of wrapped everything up. But then he started to come up with some ideas. I think it was in the mid 90s, around 95, 96 ish. And he never like told what it was. And I'm like, well, if the creator and somebody like who's as creative as Cameron is comes up with something, I'm like, sure, like there has to be somewhere else you can take it. Now, of course, I'm not a writer, I'm not a filmmaker, I can't think of anything, but oh wow, that yeah. See, look at the CGI coming up there like that.
Yeah,
You can tell that's not.
it doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't quite fit the whole
No,
photography of the rest of the scene.
no,
It's a
not at
sticker.
all.
It's sticker boy. I get it. CGI is a tool. I get it. CGI is here to stay. But sometimes you gotta think. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. With some of these sequences that are filmed, I think a lot of superhero films go through that nowadays. And a lot of other stuff. That I know the idea seems grand and big, and you can technically do it, and some CGI is good, but a lot of times it's just in the long run, it's going to age more quickly and poorly.
Mm-hmm. Also, another thing about this one, I know Linda Hamilton was supposed to be in it, and her
Hmm.
character, I think, dies in the middle of the movie in the original script,
Yeah.
and she turned it down for that reason. And I'm like, wait a minute, so you turn the movie down because you die in the middle of it, and she said the role was more of like a passing of the baton to Eddie Furlong, who was attached at the time, and it was essentially more of just Arnold and Eddie's movie. But I'm like, wasn't that kind of the point anyway? Like, wouldn't that's inevitable for you to die at some point, and or at least for John to become the big resistance leader that he's destined to be. So she says that, but then she comes back and does Dark Fate, and she's okay with John Connor dying at the beginning. What?
Just she got more screen time and got to live.
That's my
And
point. Like, that's so hypocritical and ironic. Like, why would you? You're okay with that though?
well, to be honest, also at that point, what had Linda Hamilton even done for the past 10
You're right.
years since
You're
Dark
right.
Fate?
Yeah.
Because I can't remember a single thing. The last movie I remember her starring in was either Dante's Peak or that Charlie Sheen movie, The Shadow Conspiracy,
Oh
that George
wow.
Cosmatos did before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And here's, I mean, Sarah Connor just dies off screen and just sick, some kind of cancer or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah, it was cancer.
Oh, thank you, Oliver, for that. You should check out
Nice.
the mini fan film with the original Terminator 2. Adult John Connor himself, Michael Edwards, reprising his role named Skynet on YouTube. Oh, okay. It's a
Cool.
fan film. Cool.
That
I'll
sounds
check
cool.
that out.
Yeah.
Skynet. Adult John Connor, Michael Edwards. Was he the adult John Connor in the flashbacks in T2 or T1? Like, which one was he in? Try me. I just would have been T2, I guess, because I don't remember seeing adult John Connor in T1. So Michael Edwards. Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you, Oliver. But I mean, yeah, you didn't need, like I said, you didn't need a sequel. This was done because, again, like most sequels, milk as much money as you can, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Dramatic slow motion. Of course, this is set up the ending with this device that blows everything up at the end. Because isn't that what was in? He puts it in the TX's mouth and it blows up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like this whole movie blows. But let me get into that. The whole Terminator 2, the big part of the story is fate is what we make of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
repeated again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But then this goes, actually tough titty. That ain't true. Fate, fate ain't shit. It's inevitable. Suck it up, Buttercup. Do you think that was a valid way to go to completely go with the 180 point of T2?
um, there is something interesting about the idea, but the way it was executed, I, to me, like you don't. There's just certain rules you don't break, certain things you don't go back on. Um, and this one does that. And even with like, as much as I like Nick Stahl and he's fine in the movie, some of
Mm-hmm.
his character choices, even where he puts the gun to his head and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna kill myself."
Oh
Fuck
yeah,
my. He says, "Fuck my destiny" and stuff like that. And I'm like, would John Connor really do that if he's been raised by a badass mom like Sarah and prepared for war and stuff like that? Like, even if they thought they had prevented it, I'm sure she's like, well, there could be another threat at some point. Protect yourself. I'm sure in between 2 and 3, just logically speaking, I'm sure that would have happened
yeah,
before she died. And I mean, because she had already taught him things in T2. Remember, he's like scamming the ATM thing or something. Like that was like he mentions that's one of the things that his mom taught him. So she had taught him things here and there about at least survival to a degree. But I just don't
mm-hmm.
see his character doing something like that. It felt very off. And I know it wasn't it wasn't something that he was actually going to do. I know the Terminator sort of calls his bluff in that scene, but still, he does seem like he doesn't want it. I think he does say something like that. I never wanted my destiny or something. So
Yeah, that sounds about
it,
right.
yeah, it just didn't fit for me.
To me, it's like if you watch this in a continuity, it's like everything, well, mostly, not everything, but okay, everything with the whole Joe Morton Miles Dyson is pointless. The
Mm-hmm.
whole going to the building, the whole blowing everything up.
Right.
Joe Morton died for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Justice for Miles Dyson. Hashtag Miles Dyson in the chat. Um, he just shot up and got to do that bomb. Got the bomb. It didn't matter. He could have just lived with his kids and I don't know,
Yeah, they fucked his whole
enjoy
life
his
up for no
life.
reason.
Uh, but I guess for them, it's like they wanted a sequel. What story could you tell? And it's like, then Arnold, just do your retirement and enjoy, do your governor thing and just do a future war story at this point. I mean, did you have Nick Stahl in it or someone else? And you don't need Arnold in it. And
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
I mean, they would have made this anyway. Everybody fighting over the rights and the rights bouncing around. Some studio would have made a part 3. Now that, like they say in the movie, is
Yeah,
inevitable. If Arnold
yeah,
wasn't in it,
that's true.
do you think it would have been any worse? I'm not sure who they would have cast around that time to be or to
With
take his
this
place. But
story,
yeah, with this story,
with this exact story, but it's not Arnold.
I mean, does he save the film for you in any way?
No, because I mean, I love Arnold's performances.
Mm-hmm.
As a Terminator, I liked him more as the bad guy in the first film.
Well, yeah,
I liked
yeah.
him in T2. Like, my favorite Arnold films is Predator, Commando, The Running Man, End of Days,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like I'd go on and on. And I love Terminator 1, but it'd be lower on the list. But as the Terminator, I enjoy him more as the scary, intimidating villain.
Mm-hmm.
I found him much more interesting as that than as the hero. So as the heroic Terminator, that's actually not as interesting to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just with the story, I think the story is my biggest problem. Is that I didn't see any point to it other than saying T2 didn't matter. So that just bugs me at times when sequels do that. But that's just me.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree. Like that's the biggest problem with it is that it goes against T2. And I think that was Predminator. I saw somebody say in the chat that 5 goes against T2 even more. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things you just can't come back from. No
No.
matter what you do. Like anytime you go against a film that's greater or that's come before and is actually a subliminal film, not just in the franchise, but something that's very predominant in movie making history, be it the first Terminator or the second film, man, you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. And we'll put it before. Thank you, Bobby. I'm not sure. I don't really get your question. I guess you're asking, have you ever acted like your favorite character? No, I can't act like John Rambo. I'd be in jail. I'd be in jail like at the end of First Blood, and while a Lone Rose playing in the background, and I'd be in picking rocks and hitting rocks, wait for someone to pick me up. So, nah, I can't do that. That's illegal. It'd be illegal for me to tear apart a Sheriff Teasel's town. But on a side note, if you have a favorite character of any form, what would it be? Movie or TV show? Do you have a favorite character?
um Probably not. I could give you like a top 5 list, maybe, or a top 10 list,
Sure,
but it's always
top
really
five.
hard for me to narrow down stuff like that because in the moment, I know that I'm just gonna go what comes to my head, like, off the top of the head, and it's not necessarily like if I'm looking at a list of stuff, then I can say like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this one, and the other ones are these," and that's the easy thing to do, but off the top of my head, now are we talking about action or just any genre?
any genre.
Any genre? Oh god, it's even harder.
Okay, action if that helps.
That does
With
help, thank you.
action. Okay.
Um, I really like the, uh Rambo character, and that's not just because I'm on your channel. Trust me. Um, he'd probably be in the top 5, but see, that's where I get into that fine line of like, I love Rambo, but I'm like, Cobra is so badass. Like, I love that character.
There
He's
you
so
go.
badass. Like, um, God, that's too hard. I'm sorry. Like, I can't even, I can't
There
even
you go.
do it.
The Stuntman Mark act like Stuntman Mike. Do you have a car that's death proof?
I do not. um,
Not
even though
yet.
I wish I had that. I think it's a Chevy Nova from Death Proof. Um, I drive
And
A Wrangler, so no, I'm not
a few
like
more
Stuntman
super
Mark.
chats. We'll get him a death proof car for YouTube. Do some videos for Death Proof 2 Electric Boogaloo. So this is the bit where she shoots him and he spits out a bullet.
Not necessary. Just completely unnecessary.
That should be the quote here instead. Completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Stuntman Mark. Look at completely unnecessary.
Yeah, that's more accurate. Like it's just
Oh my god. On a side note, did you ever, with anything else Terminator, did you ever play any video games, or read any comics, or anything of the sort, or just movies?
I played several of the Terminator games, and the majority of them that I did play were not good. But I still enjoy playing them, even though most of them were bad.
Which ones were they that you played?
The original T2, I think it was Nintendo, or maybe that was NES. I'm not
Yeah,
sure, but
I think there's one for. I know there's one for Super Nintendo, Terminator 2. It might
Yeah,
have been one for NES.
it's the one where you like it's side scroller. You got to
Oh
get to the
yeah.
bar and then fight Terminator, and then after that you do the spillway chase scene, where you're on the bike and you shoot back at the truck.
Jesus, that was awful.
Yeah. There were so many like after that I played. Like there was one on PS2. God, I can't remember the name of them, but
There were a couple for this movie, Terminator 3: The Redemption, and there's another one.
I skipped those. I played more of the earlier ones, not so much the later ones. I know there's one that came out like a year or two ago, but I didn't play that one yet.
I think this is the thing you were mentioning that, like, this is almost as if they added this in to get the R rating
Mm-hmm.
with the impalement. There you go.
Yep.
Because that's really the one violent moment in the movie is
Mm-hmm.
just I can't like you said I can't think of any other scene that's this violent in the movie.
No.
Yeah, Marco, we started. We're at 53 minutes and 49 seconds around there.
Mm-hmm.
I did play the Terminator arcade game way back in the day, like once or twice. I could never get far, but I did
Mm-hmm.
love that thing. But you're in the future, and you're shooting the
Yeah.
endoskeletons, but I could never get far. I would die like 5 minutes in. And I fuck this.
Oh, and then you have the return of the good doctor here.
Yeah, Earl Bowen, someone mentioned. This is the last time he'd be in a Terminator film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nice to see him in there, but it's like also just how convenient. Like, he just happens to be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of all the country and all the time, like, this is the one place he's be, like, very lucky or
Yeah,
unlucky.
exactly.
And he's pretty much there for a joke as well. 10
Mm-hmm.
years that you're over, and this is where he blows up a bunch of cop cars because
Yeah.
he can't kill anybody. I promise that I will not kill anyone. But that's kind of like a funky version of slow mo. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't maybe originally meant to. And what do you think of this action scene?
A little generic. Just
Yeah.
just whatever. I actually like the
Well,
chase coming up a little bit more.
I mean, it's pretty much just the minigun scene in Terminator 2, blowing up
Mm-hmm.
the police cars, only not as cool.
Exactly.
Because there was a pine, you had the music with Brad Fidel, and
Mm-hmm.
he's up high with a minigun, and you got helicopters everywhere. Here is just, it's a ridiculous image of just him holding a coffin in one hand.
Yeah.
It's like the scene in Commando where he's holding the log,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that was like cooler.
Yeah.
And teaching his daughter how to fight and getting ice cream on his nose and all that stuff. I'd rather seen a sequel to that than Terminator 3 for his retirement. Commando 2, I would have preferred more of the Terminator 3. I don't know if anyone in the chat agrees. If you
Yeah.
had to choose. And that one comes to mind because I saw an interview recently by Steven D'Souza where there was a script written where Arnold's character owned like a security firm.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was hired to set up the security firm with all like the toughest people to protect this building. But then to find out those are all turncoats. So
Really? Okay.
his daughter and the girl from Commando get captured. He's got to enter the building and kill all these guys that he hired.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also kind of why people thought Die Hard was going to be a sequel to Commando when that wasn't true, because that strip dealt with a building and Die Hard dealt with a building. So
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, for folks out there, like there's that rumor that Dyer was meant to be a secret commando. That's not true. It was never, because it was based on a book, and then actually there's a movie made called The Detective, and that's why for Die Hard they had offered to Frank Sinatra at first, because he starred as the character in a previous movie, and contractually they had offered Frank Sinatra, "Do you want to star in Die Hard?" And he's like, "No, I don't do movies, and I'm too old." So then Bruce Willis, we were able to get him in it. But yeah, everyone in the chat's saying Commando 2. Commando 2, yeah. Yeah, Commando 2, Commando 2.
I do like this shot coming up where Nick Stahl's shooting the TX in the face with the AK-47.
Oh,
That's kind of
yeah.
cool. Which feels like somewhat of a throwback to Arnold shooting the T-1000 in the face on the semi in T2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So you got a lot of like callbacks to T2. I don't know if it's done on purpose or not. But maybe it's to make people remember, a movie they loved. At this point, I mean, probably 10 years before, because I was 91 or so, Terminator 2, and then this was 2003, so over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
She bounced off the damn truck like a hattie sack. Yeah, people mentioned True Lies. Like I said, True Lies is a great one. I mean, that could have been the movie if he wanted to end it on or such. Although I love End of Days, so I would keep that one.
Yeah, I liked End of Days a lot.
Damn, Mary, you're being so generous. Thank you. Sub to Stuntman Marq YouTube account. You're welcome.
Oh.
LOL.
Thanks,
Cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you want to mention real quick where people can find you?
Yeah, just go on the YouTube search, type in Stuntman Marq, and I should pop right up.
Cool.
Currently working on a few videos as always, so look out for that. And I wouldn't say I do reviews, but I more so give my thoughts on stuff briefly while I showcase whatever edition of the movie it is. Mostly limited edition stuff. But from time to time, I do updates or unboxings.
Yes, Jonathan, I do have the DVD. I didn't throw it away because it does have kind of a hilarious commentary with Arnold, where all he does is just talk about what's on screen. The sign. Well, I am driving, and then I'm talking to the next doll, and Arnold just doesn't understand the concept of a damn commentary. I want to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Arnold Schwarzenegger, well, first off, did you ever see The Last Stand?
That
Well, Forrest
was
Whitaker, he was the sheriff, and there's the guy on the run in the car.
Wasn't Johnny Knoxville in that?
Yeah.
I vaguely, God, dude, that felt like, was that like 10 years ago? Seems like already.
More
had to
so,
be, right?
that was long. Yeah, more so. That was 2000. I mean, that was like his 2013.
That was 2013. Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Maybe maybe before that, actually. No, yeah. Let me look up. I was going to ask, like, have you ever kept up with Arnold's like work in the past 10 years? Because it seems like either they've been let down or kind of forgettable, or 2013. Okay, thank you. Why do you think that is? Do you think just he's not working with the right directors? Do you think he just back then it
maybe.
seemed like he knew how to pick the roles for the most part, the right directors. Nowadays, doesn't seem.
Well, I mean, part of it I think is that the action film is dead in a way. Um,
Yeah.
it's all Marvel, DC stuff, and then you do have a few franchises here and there that come out of the woodwork, and that's fine. And some standalone stuff that's cool, like Bullet Train. But it's are any of those roles suited for somebody like him? Is what you kind of have to ask yourself. And really,
Mm-hmm.
no. I mean, none of the. I think we had this a similar talk to this about this before. Like none of the action guys that we grew up with are around, and that type of action star isn't really around. Um, it's so unfortunate because I miss that, and that's what kept the action genre alive. I think in a lot of ways, you had so many great films with Stallone, so many great with Van Damme and Arnold, of course, and those tentpole guys kind of held the genre up on its legs and really established what you could do with that type of action star. But now, what is it? Fast and the Furious. These a lot of these really tired and played out franchises that almost go nowhere. And I long for the days of that coming back. Will it come back? I don't think so. It's a great pastime, but um, it's so hard to like movies now. Almost. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but like
Tell me about it. No, go for it. You're not rambling. Go for it.
it
Speaking the
just
truth.
like I don't want to get too far into it, but I watched John Wick 4 last night after your stream. And while I enjoyed it, I started to think to myself, how long before this gets played out? I don't think it's the last one. And by that, I do mean more John Wick stuff. I don't mean just like another spinoff or something like that. Of course, that stuff's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think there will be another one. I mean, if you look at that movie and the way it ends, that's not the end. There's no way it's over. They could definitely stop there. They could and just
Yeah.
leave it, but I don't think so. With the success of that movie, um, there's no way he's dead. Like one shot. I mean, you've seen the ending, so one bullet.
It was on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
somebody.
trust anything with Hollywood because there's so many times I would say the same thing, and I'm like, there's no way they would do that to Luke Skywalker. Come on, there's no way they would do that to
Mhm,
Captain Kirk. No way.
mhm,
I don't trust anybody. And without getting too far in, even if they make another one, I think it won't end the way I want it. And do I really want to take my time into a journey where the director's pretty much telling me the ending you want, you can't have? Well,
mhm.
fuck you then. Not you, but I mean,
No,
Chaz
I
tells
know.
you, I mean, fuck you, Chaz. Then I don't want to be on your journey for, wait 6, 7 years for a sequel. And
Mhm.
then you want tough titty. You're stupid for wanting that.
Yeah,
But okay, fine. Then I can sit here and watch other stuff like this movie, 3 times, which is be the same running time as your one movie.
mhm.
So teach their own.
Yeah. It had some
They
great
killed
action
James
set
Bond.
pieces. They did. But isn't there like 50 million Ian Fleming novels with James Bond? So that's a given that he's not dead for sure. Um,
Well,
but
Daniel Craig is.
right
That James
with
Bond
Craig,
is.
right? With Wick
Wait,
though,
quick.
go ahead. Yeah,
This is funny. A coworker I used to work with in the gaming industry, very eerie. You look like a twin.
really.
See,
That's
that
funny.
is his job. See, he didn't tell you. That is
That's so
him.
funny. Yeah, that's me.
What games are you working on now? New
I,
John Wick game.
I wish I was.
But they do blast radius. But sorry, I know I'm being goofy, but go ahead. What you were saying.
Oh, you're good. Um, but yeah, I just feel like the franchise isn't over. It'll come back. Um, I can't see it ending there. And just if you follow the whole narrative of that film anyway, um, and even if you read a little bit more into what Chad said, I think you talked about that too, where there is no happiness, there's no end. That is going to be satisfying. But to me, I mean, you could read that as him saying like he's going to kill the character off or he's going to die eventually. But you could also look at it the way of like in the first Wick film, he didn't want to be back in the life, and I think him having eternity in the life of the world of assassins is pretty much a living hell. That's probably worse for him than death because that's not what he wants. He wants his peace, but he can't ever have it. So you can look at it that way too. That's what I thought when the movie ended, because it just seems like a setup. It's he says, "Take me home to Winston." You have the grave next to his wife's grave, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing, but I just don't buy it. So I could be wrong though. There's always that chance.
Well, for me, I think you can have it. It's just when you do it, just don't make any more movies. I already said the ending I saw have just one more scene. He's middle of nowhere in the snow. You see his dog walking through the snow, jumps in his lap, pans up. There's John Wick, has a dog in one hand, picture of his wife in the other, sits back, sighs. Don't make any more movies, and then your mind can think of whatever you want. If it had that scene, okay, I'd be fine with that. As simple as it is. But I mean, they don't want to. Chris Kelsey doesn't want to do that. Then fine. I don't want to be on your journey, Chad. Eat it, in my opinion.
Now, if they do John Wick 5, are you going to watch 4?
No, because I know unless Chad proves me wrong, I want Chad to prove me wrong, and then I'll go see it.
Okay.
If not, I've seen too many franchises like this franchise that went to shit. Would you ever believe they would have a movie where John Connor as a boy would be shot in the face in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and James Cameron is a part of it? The same guy, understandably so, who was mad about Alien 3 killing off Hicks and Newton and Ripley, and I agree with him being mad about that, but he was okay with John Connor being shot in the face, point blank range. If you shot more, it'd be scanner style, blow it up, boy head bits everywhere on the wall. Would you ever think a movie would have happened where John Connor as a kid got shot in the face and starts your movie? Would you have ever thought that as a Terminator fan? And James Cameron was there producing it, giving the AOK. At the time, the best Terminator sequel, or whatever the hell he said. Return to form, whatever the hell he said to promote the film, just to say to promote it, even if he lied about it. Who would have thought that?
It's something I never would have dreamed of happening.
That's why. Please prove me wrong. I would gladly be proven wrong. Neil Punk Alley. That was, yep. And I liked the way Crank 2 did it. Exactly. Prove me wrong. And I'm not talking to the chat. I'm talking about to the directors. I love to be proven wrong. But until you do, I'm cynical because I've seen too many franchises just go down the toilet. And how many times before I go, you know what? I'm going to get off this ride right now. I can wait. I mean, it's going to take them 7 years, 6 years to do another John Wick film anyway. Because Chad wants to do 2 more Highlander reboot, Ghost of Tsushima, all this stuff. Fine, I'll wait. Prove me wrong, Chad. Prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. Until I do, that's what a reason I'm cynical. Either you get a shitty sequel like Die Hard 5, A Good Day to Suck Hard, or you get Dark Fate and Last Jedi and the Space Horses and Rise of Skywalker, which I saw that better in Kroll with the fire mayors and shit. It's fucking. Anyway. Yeah, that's right. Every franchise now gets milked to death, and we talked about this before. How many times has that worked out in a positive manner? They can't leave well enough alone.
Nope.
Just how it is. This is a cool design. I do like the design of this thing. I forget the technical name. I know it's big and
Yeah.
bulky. I do think that looks cool, and I don't. I like the practicality of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you could tell it's there. Like, that's the thing with CGI. A lot of that stuff just doesn't have any weight to it on screen. But yeah, this is nice.
Horses in space. They were space horses. Rise of Skywalker. They were. They're ready to go into space. And like John Boyega is a good actor, and they give him nothing to do because he's a Jedi. But no, actually, he's not a Jedi because they didn't want to do it. But they did, but they didn't, and they didn't know what the hell he wanted. That's a whole other topic. It's like he is, but he isn't. Fuck. T1s. Okay, they're called T1s. Thank you, Predminator. T1s. I guess that makes sense.
Now, is any of this interesting to you, sort of the takeover, seeing the start, or maybe I guess the fall of civilization here?
Maybe if this was a prequel where this led into like Salvation, or maybe we like see some of this stuff and we start with the Odysee at the beginning, and then we go into the Salvation story, maybe. But if it's the Salvation story, this takes place before Happy Terminator 2, when we want to show you how it started off to begin with, and this be like the first section, perhaps. But I mean, I kind of got the gist of it in the way Kyle Reese described it in the first movie. How I described what happened in the car with Sarah Connor, and I just was able to put in my brain what he was saying and envisioned it. Like that worked well enough for me. So, like, it wasn't a necessary thing for me to see, but if it was for others, that's cool.
Okay.
Should be back.
Oh God. Just why that kind of dialogue, man? It's not funny.
Like, this is a cool action scene. Like the practical T1, like going through real stunt people being thrown around. Like, that's not too shabby.
Yeah.
I think Bobby is asking who would win, the Ed 209 or the T1.
Ed 209 for sure.
Yeah, as long as there's no stairs. The Ed 209.
That's right.
At least above those stairs. I mean, okay, I'll say this. Terminator 3 is better than RoboCop 3. I'll say that.
What a comparison. God, let me think about RoboCop 3. He's got like the jetpack and all that shit. There's the ninja.
The cyborg ninjas, yeah.
Yeah. Could the ninja beat Arnold? That's a good question right there. Like, he's kind of like the Terminator.
Yeah. God, that RoboCop 3. I mean, I like that director. Of course, he did the Monster Squad, Fred Decker, but I remember he said in an interview that if he did RoboCop 3 today, he would have the whole OCP building come alive and attack RoboCop.
What?
Like a transformer.
Oh my God.
Like the whole OCP building would come. It was some self-defense system, and RoboCop would fight the whole building. That's what Fred Decker said. If
he had to be today. Trolling. I don't believe that. There's no way.
He was serious in the interview. he was dead serious. If he's trolling, he's a good he has a good straight face.
That is so absurd.
Which is better, Terminator 3 or Blade Trinity? I gotta go with Terminator 3, I guess, or Blade
Yeah,
Trinity.
man. Blade Trinity was so rough. So rough.
Yeah, Triple H with a vampire dog, Pomeranian or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the dog Uncle Bill has?
That's it, yeah.
That dog? I gotta tell him next time. He stole Triple H's dog. That dog a vampire. I wouldn't consider it a time waster. I would just call it a waste of time, as in, other than a couple action scenes, other than like in its doll, I don't really need this. Like, I've seen this film since I got this DVD. It's probably the second time I've seen this. And it's like, see, as soon as I said that, it started raining. So God apparently answered my question. Apparently, God's like, yep, don't see this ever again. Because if you don't hear that, it's raining now. So literally, God's pissing on this movie because he's pissed off that we're watching it. So he's like, nah, don't watch this movie again. Or maybe because we uttered Blade Trinity. We uttered those words, and now, nope. It needs to rain and hail because Blade Trinity deserves to go to hell.
Thoughts on the bathroom fight, though?
A lot of the CGI enhancements look a bit ridiculous because of the physics of the bodies flying around. Well, I get the idea because all heavy machinery, so these things would be breaking apart like this. Like going through the bathroom doors is done practical, okay. At the same time, I never thought I would. Okay, here's a bathroom brawl in a Terminator movie where she picks him by the nuts and is throwing him around like a rag doll. That's just kind of shit.
And I know they said it took forever to like complete this sequence of them fighting in the bathroom. But honestly, it's not that good.
What do you like about Terminator 3? Premier was asking.
It's a short list. I mean, the best thing I think was action-wise was probably the sequence with all the cars toward the beginning.
I agree.
I don't mind Kristanna Loken. I think she did as good as she could have done. I mean, given what she had to do and what she had to work with. I think all the acting is fine. I don't find anybody to be out of place necessarily or do a bad job. But man, there's not much that I do like. Watching it again, like I haven't seen this in, for the record, I don't even own Terminator 3. I'm watching a stream of it.
Okay.
And like I'm for sure I have various copies of the first two. And I have Salvation. And that's it. I don't own the other ones. Yeah, there's only a few scenes here and there that I like. I mean, all the ones that have come up, I've talked about the ones that I like so far. Anything coming forward, I kind of like the scene at the end where all the missiles are coming down. It further drives home the point of the film. Is that what I want it to happen? Not necessarily, but I mean, if that's what you're going for with this, and it's called Rise of the Machines, I mean, you gotta, go for it. So they kind of go there. So I appreciate that, but so much of it is just it's just not great. Like and I said that before that you can't. how does anyone else but Cameron really follow up T2? Um, I think a lot of what the filmmaker, or Jonathan Mostow in this case, ran into was him trying to follow up T2, which is going to be incredibly hard. Not only does he have to try to craft somewhat of a reasonably decent story, but he has to try to make these great action set pieces. And, you know, they're well shot. You mentioned that they are. They look good. I really agree with that. But the visual effects don't hold up. And so much of them just feel tame in comparison. I hate to keep saying that, but once something is better than what's come before, or even if something is so great like T2 was and it came before, you're going to compare it. It's just, you can't look at this as a standalone film. It is a part 3. So I have to look at it that way. And it's behind Salvation for me. It'd be 1, 2,
Oh,
Salvation, 3, Genesis, then Dark Fate.
yeah. So Mars asks, do you think 2, 3 falls apart in the third act?
I wouldn't even say it falls apart as much as it just feels somewhat lackluster like the rest of the movie. It all blends together pretty well for the story that they're trying to tell, but it doesn't the third act, I mean, there's no real climax to me. I'll put it that way.
Right.
I don't feel like there's this big climax. And T2
I don't know why.
definitely has that, and so does
Why?
T1, but this just, you know, it kind of just all melts together.
I don't know why. Just the position of just how she's like back like this. For some reason, made me laugh. I don't know why. Just for some reason, just I don't know what it was. Sorry, just one of those weird things just made me laugh.
It is kind of
Just
a funny
I don't know.
image.
Just that weird position. No, Mark. Oh, he's talking to someone else. Sorry. Uh, did you ever go on the Terminator ride back in the day? Someone mentioned the 3D ride.
I
They had
wish.
the Universal. Yeah.
I wish I
Yeah,
did.
me neither.
The Battle Across Time thing. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny that somebody brings that up, actually. I'm glad somebody did bring that up. I remember Cameron saying in an interview that that was like a stepping stone toward Terminator 3, like his
Hmm.
version of T3. But of course, we know what happened there. Things fell through rights wise.
That was Stepping Stone. I wonder because that was kind of like going through, and I barely remember because I didn't go on the ride.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're in the present, but then they also go to the future. It's kind of going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember really liking it. And some
did I
people
see your
consider that
talk?
the only good sequel to T2.
Did I see you're talking about where he talks the Terminator down? Does a little Dr. Phil in the Terminator. It can't be bargained with. Remember, it
Why?
can't be reasoned with.
Why would you do this?
It can be reasoned with. They were see Kyle
Yeah.
Reese was wrong. It can be bargained with. It can be reasoned. The scene says it. The scene told me so. Yeah, Jonathan, we don't we've talked about Terminator Salvation. We don't mind it. We says we'll put it 3 after 1 and 2. 1, 2, then Salvation. Heavy Metal Turtles Hello there. How's Terminator 3 going? We're at the scene where he's negotiating with the Terminator, even though apparently it did say it can't be bargained with, but apparently it can.
Right. I'm going to talk him out of killing, talk him out of terminating me, which is his whole reason for being.
Pretty much. But,
Oh man, I forgot about all this. Where he's like struggling with himself, and then he's pounding the car. that's, that's so silly.
For people who ask, like, well, why is it silly? If they ask you that, why is it silly, Mark? What makes it silly?
Watch this scene.
Dude, just watch the scene.
Why is he looking from left to right? Like, isn't like that just in his head? Like, why is he? It's like he's trying to focus on something. Yeah, I'll just destroy this car. That'll snap me back to my senses. Like, how do you even shoot that? And you're like, yeah, good job. That was great. Let's go to the next scene.
Kind of like a baby with a rattler or
Yeah, man.
rattle.
Like,
you see, found it on the thing. Jesus Christ. I forgot the whole scene.
Yeah, when it was a funny scene earlier too, when like she was gonna like put him through the wall, and like he puts his hands up like this. It's like, you're a Terminator. Why are you protecting your head? Like, it's just stupid.
I know. This scene is good. Missy saying 3,000 material. I can see that. Oliver says he's from the UK, experienced Bow Across Time. Cool. Outstanding atmosphere 3D film. Really expands on the story narrative respectively. Cool. People mention Turner Salvation with the Christian Bale stuff. Yeah. Thoughts on the Asylum Terminator ripoff? I never saw the Asylum. I know there's one called the Terminators. Literally called the Terminators. I've never seen it. Yeah, the TS did grab Arnold's nuts in the fight scene. I don't know if that was meant to be comedy or just what.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
definitely. Because like he makes like a weird face when she does it. So
yeah. What do you guys think of the Sarah Connor Chronicles? I haven't seen that in over 10 years, so I don't remember much about the show.
I watched like maybe one episode, and that was when it first came out. I don't think I ever like got into it or bothered to go back to check out more of it. I've heard good things, but I just never bothered to check it out.
Yeah. So here they're getting to the bunker for our final act, which is, spoiler alert, safety for when the world ends, and of course that'll lead into the war and so on and so forth. How long have I had Terminator 3 on DVD? Probably when it came out, because I just wanted to collect stuff, which I don't really do that anymore. Because I'm like, am I going to waste money on a film that I'll probably see maybe 4 times in my life? Nah. Especially nowadays when you have streaming and stuff. So, what would you give Terminator 3? What ranking out of 5 stars? I'm not good with ranking the stars. I had to think about it. So out of 5 stars, what would this be?
Maybe a 2. And that's me being nice.
I would say that, because the lower would be for like Genesis and Dark Fate. Those would be like 1 star. 2, yeah. Underwhelming. Couple good action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, you said the acting's not bad. It's just kind of one of those films that just kind of, eh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like ranting, raging, but it's like, you know, if this was never made, I'd be shedding no tears.
Right.
Yeah, one of the stars would be the practical stuff. How you doing, Fabio? Hope you're doing well, man.
How the fuck did he even know where they were? What if he hit them? I just thought about that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, that'd be a hell of an ending. I mean,
Fucking kill John
that'd be
Connor.
like a fun. Shit. Yeah. I am dominated. Self-destruct. The end. Credits. God, that's CGI. Mbach. Stop being back. Don't be back.
Predminator gives it 7 out of 10.
It's cool. Yeah, 2 out of 5, I would agree. Nitstall, I like practical effects and the car chasing. But yeah, again, the story just not for me. 4 out of 10. So you like Bret Hart? Give it a 4 out of 10. Nitby. Yeah, like 4 out of 10. And your Bret Hart. See, but you're not going to meet again because you're not the same. Well, I just technically he sends them back in time, I guess. So that's true. So you see more of the TX here, and like you're asking me about the design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you almost, yeah, you see it's definitely more feminine and.
Mm-hmm. I think they should have went with the blank slate idea.
Yeah.
So that the gender would have been up to just whoever's interpretation.
Yeah. And that lawnmower man fucking face thing, they look like the lawnmower man, and it sees like fucking Job in and this scene with the eyes like being stared almost. Like, what the fuck is that shit?
Yeah.
No fear, no pity, no pain. Apparently not.
Right.
It's all bullshit. Bullshit, all of it. Fuck. Yeah, Cyber Job. It's Ali beyond cyberspace. Fucking.
That first movie isn't the best, but that sequel, man.
Yeah, I
What
could watch
happened
the
there?
first Lawnmower Man, but that sequel is just trash.
Mm-hmm.
This is trash. Yeah, I agree, Fabio. This is where the franchise took this first step down and really didn't recover. Really didn't recover. I mean, and they continue. Didn't they say they wanted to make another one? This was like months back, but what when this many films have bombed, because Dark
Mm-hmm.
Fate didn't do that well, because there's going to be a trilogy. Genesis
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that well, because there's going to be a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
How many times does a film need to bomb before you go, maybe we should just give it up?
Yeah. It's weird too because this was supposed to be filmed back to back with a fourth film.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Originally, that was the plan, but they very quickly changed their minds and said, "Well, we'll put the fourth film into production if this is a big success. Just in case this one isn't, we're just going to shoot 3." But again, more rights issues later on, and the rights just kept bouncing around.
What letter would I put this if I did a tier list? Between C or D, because Genesis and Darth Vader are F. So at best it'd be like a C minus.
I
Yeah, it's
agree
hard to do
with.
another. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to agree with Richard Tracy. Yeah, nobody's going to go see another one. I mean, Dark Fate was their last shot.
Yeah.
The Cameron uh, aspect of it, him being involved, was the really like the big draw. And once you let people down with something like that, then you're not going to win the audience back. I think it's pretty dead. Even if it's like another 10 years from now, it definitely won't have Arnold in it. So there's that. People won't even be drawn in for that. All the diehard Arnold fans. I think it's just left alone. Just leave it alone. I know it's a popular franchise. It's obviously more than penetrated the pop culture zeitgeist. It's out there in the world. Everybody loves it, and it's great. But just leave it. 1 and 2 are sufficient, and I'm good with that.
I don't care what Cody Lee says. I don't need to agree. And I think that is teach their own. I disagree 100%.
Yeah, I'm
Darth
not
sucks
going to
my
comment.
balls.
I'm not going to comment at all.
Darth sucks shit.
Yeah. I mean, you mean to tell me a guy like hanging drapes and like what does he joke about, like changing diapers and
something like yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck him. I'm good. Like I'm not watching that. What about the scene where he's rubbing the dog in Dark Fate? Do you
remember that song.
So Arnold's it's like at the start of like the third act. And I was so baffled. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he rubbing a dog? He can't even feel it. Like, I know the dog can, but like, what does he get out of doing that? Like, is he that like compassionate now as like a character where he's like petting a dog? It's just, oh man, that movie's so bad.
No pity, no remorse, but he felt remorse and pity, so it became a window draper with
with a wife who doesn't want to have sex with him.
Well, why would anyone want to have sex with the Terminator?
Exactly. So why write it? That's my whole point. Like,
James Cameron sat there and just let it happen. Maybe, I don't know. Did he steal Kevin Smith's weed?
He said they had harsh feelings over everything that went down. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, I mean, why didn't James Cameron do anything? Or did he just sit there? Or did he just...
He said initially, like, he tried to stay out of it as much as possible, but he couldn't help but intervene in certain things. But he knew that, like, going into it too much, like, he'd be doing too much. So he's like, I got to leave more of this to Miller than to me. And in the interview, he said that, like, him and Miller are okay now, but there's still a little bit of that slight tension there where, like, he said they were still cleaning the blood off the walls from the set, like, because like there were so much like back and forth between them. But I'm like, you chose him. Like, wasn't he your handpicked guy to like do it? That's kind of on you, man.
And I mean, if you think about what does Deadpool, the guy who directed Deadpool, have to do with a Terminator movie? And I like Deadpool, but how does that equate to doing a Terminator movie? Like, which aspects of Deadpool make you go, he could work for Terminator? I'm going to pick him. Other than the movie made money.
Right. I know him being a fan played a big factor, but I mean, you could be a fan of somebody. That doesn't mean they're right for the project that you want them to go after. And then we had our final shot there.
Egomaniacs. I mean, a lot of people in Hollywood are, to be fair. The other thing, Arnold helped destroy franchise. Maybe he should have stopped. I mean, he could have.
I mean,
he took the money, though.
He did take the money. I mean, I wouldn't put it on him. It's the writers and the studios that put these films into production. I mean, I blame them more than I do Arnold. I mean, he just wanted to be attached to a franchise that he felt shaped his career. Of course, he wanted the money too, but I don't think it was all about that. I'm pretty sure Arnold was pretty well off, regardless if he had done these movies. But yeah, I wouldn't put it on him.
Yeah, I mean, he could have had the choice, but like you said, I mean, they're the ones that came up with the idea in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right, Arnold wanted to have Terminator 3, then someone could have said, no, Arnold, unless you want to make it with your money, you go ahead. Anthony, hey, I hope you're doing well at the end, man. Do you think it should have ended with T2? Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of franchises should have just ended at 2. Aliens, Alien and Aliens for me. Predator and Predator 2 for me. Terminator and Terminator 2 for me. I'm sure there's more. There's many other things you could have just. It's like we've said before, and I'll say it again. They milk these franchises too much. They see money too much.
Mm-hmm.
And again, very rarely do you milk something and it ends up being good in the long run. It's hard to think of a franchise. Okay, Dirty Harry films. I like all 5 of them. There were 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then Eastwood knew to stop. They wanted to do another one in the 90s, and I think he made the right decision. So he did films like In the Line of Fire, Unforgiven.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't ruin it with a bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people think on that front.
Yeah.
And there was no more story to tell unless you did the future story like Salvation. But the modern time, there was no story to tell because even this, it just feels like a regurgitated Terminator 2.
Yeah.
With a few extra little things,
Mm-hmm.
there's a regurgitated Terminator 2. But how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would have ended it with 2. It's the type of thing where Cameron's screenplay for 2 did wrap everything up nicely. And I'm fine with just wondering whatever happened to those characters after the fact. I would have been fine just not knowing and just having it in where it ended because you just didn't need to follow it up. Short answer. I did read something about that, yes. I did read something about like him remaking it and doing something that focused on AI versus actual like physical like robots or something. Will he do
what
that?
Does that even mean?
I don't think so. That you got me. Like I don't see the potential in a film there, but I mean, what do I know?
It'd just be like me and you, but with an AI brain, but we're Terminators, and we just shot, and it with the AI, what it's like the hidden goes to the other body.
Pretty much.
Fucking hell. They just don't watch the hidden. God.
Or Jason Goes to Hell.
There you go. That's me. Fucking hell. I watch Jason Goes to Hell more than this. I say that right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is the finale of Terminator 3 Rise of the G Strings. And going through the people in the chat, I'm blessed. Yeah. Some people they realize you just have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do it forever. It's just how it is. Time, lack of ideas, lack of resources. Sometimes you just have to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the story is over at some point. Every story has an ending. You don't need to make everything episodic. You don't need to have 50 million sequels. You just don't.
No. Yeah. Too many legacy sequels. Yeah, I mean, some trilogies like that, yeah. Man with No Name trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I love the Deadpool. You got Dirty Harry shooting someone with a harpoon and saying you shit out of luck. You had Jim Carrey as a drugged up rock star singing "Welcome to the Jungle," Guns N' Roses. You got a car chase with a toy car. This is one of the more unique car chases. You got Liam Neeson as a director of a horror movie. That's pretty cool. This is him. Deadpool is actually my second favorite after Madam Force. Uh, Dwayne Johnson, hell no. No, 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 no.
No.
Not the Croc. Oh, play the video game by Atari. Yeah, I would go play the Atari video game of Terminator 3. Exactly. Let's see. Sorry, just looking through here.
No, you're good.
And see, that's what I forgot. C2 Pictures. That was like Terrical after Terrical, I believe, and they didn't last. Was it just this movie? Like, it didn't last long at all. C2 Pictures.
No, yeah, it was very short lived. It was almost like a curse to get the rights to this. Like none of these other companies seem to last. What was that about?
I don't know. Austin's asking, did you like how TV was advertised poster-wise and trailer-wise? Poster-wise and trailer-wise.
I mean, it was okay. It didn't necessarily get me excited as much as I was just interested because it was the follow-up to T2. I think the trailer was, again, just okay. But
yeah,
I wouldn't say I was excited or anything. Just interested.
let's see. Just looking through some last questions. If anyone has them, feel free. And we'll get the show on the road. Thanks once again to Predminator. I also want to thank Stuntman Marq for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Went by very quickly.
Yeah, it did.
These 2 hours. So
yeah, that was the most fun I've.
being...
No, thank you. Like that was the most fun I've had watching that movie forever. So like, this was a blast. I'd love to do more of these.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime. As long as you're available, sounds good to me. Because cool. It's easy to do these when you're talking with someone, and you're generally a nice guy. So,
thanks.
Been having fun talking with you, doing the X-Files stuff with Uncle Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun doing that. So, pleasure to have you on here, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we got to do something else with Uncle Bill too. People have been throwing ideas out in the chat when we do the X-Files shows, and I don't know, like I'd love to do something else, but as far as what it would be, I don't know. Maybe Millennium, maybe Lone Gunman show, or it doesn't have to be X-Files related. What about you? Is there anything you think we'd be good to do, like as like a follow-up?
Star Wars sequels. Just to get Uncle Bill and stuff. Now, I'm up for anything. That's just it's going to be up to him, of course. Sure. But I'm up for anything. I mean, like TV show wise, Millennium would be interesting, and that's only 3 seasons. Saved by the Bell. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Mary. Damn, you've been very generous. That was fun watching you guys in pain. Have a good night. Thank you, Mary Widow. Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, for those out there who don't know, we talked about the X-Files on Uncle Bill, a Dead Pit stream. I believe this Friday we'll be talking about season 10 and 11. Which That's gonna be a hell of a fucking.
I can't wait. That's probably the one show that I've been most excited for, just because it's gonna be such a hot topic of everything that went wrong, and there's so much that went wrong. So yeah, I can't wait for that. I think the commentary for the second movie will be really fun too. We can't wait for that. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, that's the support. That's the plans Uncle Bill has. That we'll be doing a commentary on X Files. I want to believe, but before that, we'll be talking about season 10, 11 X Files, and then after that, that'd be interesting for Uncle Bill. Like, there's a lot of ideas. I don't know if you want to do more TV shows like Coach at the Night Stalker. That'd be interesting to talk about.
That would be.
That's the original X Files, and yeah, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
I mean, there's just so much, like you were saying, like sky's the limit. Like, I think whatever we talk about, it'll be fun regardless.
Saved by the Bell. Yeah, we talk about how, she went to Showgirls, which got a 4K for some damn reason.
Yeah.
I want to believe. Yeah. I want to believe that movie didn't suck ass. Head transplants. Head transplants. Tell me, Mark, X-Files expert, why, of all the standalone episodes, head transplants and priests that touch kids, and that's the best he got for a movie.
It's such a bizarre storyline for a movie. It was him trying to do a transplant, a head, or no, wasn't it all the body parts or something like that? I know the head was
I just remember at the end, they're taking the heads off, and like the head's been taken off, and there's a body over here, and like the transplant a head to another body.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they find body parts in the snow, and
yeah, and
some organ, like fucking thing.
Yeah, like organ harvesting, I think. And then they're like,
yeah,
I think it was so that he could prolong the life of his gay lover. I think that was it. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's so bizarre. That's even for X-Files, like that's so out there. Like, what the hell?
And before because sometimes YouTube gets rid of these. YouTube does a weird thing with these. They do blast radius once again. What kind of crack was Tim Miller smoking having a Terminator sell drapery? I was like, what? And I think Arnold was also defending that nonsense as well. Well, I mean, Arnold was selling the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So give it a couple more years. I'm sure he'll, like James Cameron, he'll say a different tune, but
yeah.
They thought that was comedy. They thought that was what people wanted with comedy. And again,
they thought that was so funny. You know that they were laughing their asses off in the writing room. I even heard Cameron say one time, I think he was sitting next to Tim Miller. He said that like the Rev 9 was just him and the writers sitting in the room thinking of all the cool shit that like they could do with this version of the Terminator. And I'm like, so that's what happened. You guys were in there smoking cigars, drinking, just talking about cool shit you want to see happen instead of investing any time whatsoever into the story or the plot. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And thank you, Hopium. Yeah, T3. It gets worse, Sally. That's the problem. It gets worse.
Yep.
And yeah, we both talked about the X-Files movie on, was it season, they're talking about season 8? Or season 7. It was one of those where we talked with Uncle Bill on X-Files, but we both liked the first movie. Yeah. Just the second one was just dog shit.
Yes, I did see John Wick 4. Black Punisher asked. I did.
They went for as a real number to call with Arnold's voice. That was part of the promotion. a real number to call with Arnold's voice for that Drake reboot?
Wow.
Oh,
I would like to see that just to laugh. I'm gonna look that up like once we're off here. I gotta see that. That is so funny.
this mowing down cops in a police station to selling drapes for real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, what's next? Freddy Krueger working with Martha Stewart on baking cookies from fucking old shopping network.
I mean, he was one step away from that by the time we get to Freddy's Dead, so that could have happened. Never listened to that
That's
radio show, Jack Frost.
video show. Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, they dealt with like theories and conspiracy theories, but I never listened to it. Maybe that'd be another one, Uncle Bill, like Elm Street franchise, because they don't really talk about Number on Elm Street.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I love the chat. Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres. Oh no. I mean, she's nasty enough to be a Terminator, from what I understand.
Right?
Jesus Christ. When was the last time we saw Terminator 3? For me, it must have been whenever I last reviewed it on the channel, and I can't remember when that was. It was definitely quite a few years. I don't know about Mark.
Oh, so far back I can't even remember. But I mean the movie's never really left my mind. But yeah, it was a long time. Definitely a lot of years. I mean, it's like I said, I don't own it. And I just watched a stream just now, and that was plenty enough for me. I'm good on Terminator 3. Unless like someone comes over and they're like, I've never seen Terminator 3. It'd be a good time laughing and pointing things out and making fun of it, but like I'd never like seriously sit down and watch it. I couldn't. But even with that being said, it's not the worst sequel of the bunch. So what does that tell you?
It tells me this franchise really went into the shitter. That's what it tells me. And like a lot of franchises, I mean, Alien franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened to that.
What'd you think of like the last two, Prometheus and Alien Covenant? Did you care about Ridley Scott coming back? I know that was a big thing for a lot of people. They were really hyped on that.
Prometheus was a good-looking movie.
Okay.
But the characters were about as smart as a thumbtack. I mean, when the one guy gets high in his spacesuit and goes to the snake, the alien looked like a dick. And the guy's going coochie coochie coo to the alien dick while he's high on his supply in the spacesuit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really? Scott directed this? Really?
Yeah.
Is it like when the Simpsons did the Steven Spielberg, but then they had the other guy Spielbergo for that film festival? Is this like the really Sylvester, or like really, or Antonio Scott? Really Scott's Mexican brother, Antonio Scott. And then Alien Covenant, we got to the point where like xenomorphs are now killing people in showers, like it was Jason Voorhees. I went, this is just far off gone, man. This is just And then David, like, he created the xenomorphs, kind of. The movies
Right.
were called David. David Covenant. David Begins.
What the
David Eats the D.
what a waste of a great
Fucking.
character. I thought his performance in Prometheus was so solid. And then just like for that to be the end of it. But I will say that like for me, I don't hate Covenant and I don't hate Prometheus, but coming from Ridley Scott, that's not what I wanted at all. And that's not what I expected either. So
Yeah, Prometheus. I mean, when also you had like the giant CGI face hugger. Where did that come from?
right. I forgot
Or
about that.
the ship slowly falling and Charlie's Theron doesn't know you just do this
Exactly.
or just do this. She's
That
like,
was awesome. Oh man. Let me run in a straight line.
like, you know you should do this.
Exactly.
And then the
Oh man.
and Alien Covenant, it's like they set up an ending that they didn't follow up on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what was the whole point of setting up that character in the first Prometheus? Only they find her dead and she's birthed some.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was. Used
I
as a
don't
cocoon or something, or what the
I
hell?
don't know what the logic was behind that. Or maybe if they had a completely different script going in and then something happened contractually where they couldn't have her, so they're like, okay, we need to rewrite this. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just looking at some of the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, 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 what was it? What was it? Let me find it here. Yeah, Senior Spielberg. Yeah, that's what it was. He directed them. Uh, but we're at about 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We'll end it here. It's about 11:30 p.m. Getting pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
I want to first thank people in the chat for stopping by. Thank you to the people that send super chats. Really appreciate it. Thank you once again, Predminator, for the paid request. And also, most of all, thank you, Stuntman Marq, for coming by. A lot of fun. Definitely have to do this again sometime.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And uh, I could just imagine what would be like the next one, like Blade Trinity or something, fucking some other fucking Alien 3 or fucking
I know,
Alien
right?
Resurrection or something.
It's always good to do the bad movies. I mean, there's something about doing them like it is fun. Um, I think it's just the going back and forth with it with somebody else. It makes it much easier to watch. There's so many things that you can point out that you probably wouldn't notice on your own. And then of course fact trading is always fun too. So makes for a fun commentary. And it's funny you even asked me to come on because like I was going to send you a message if you wanted to do a commentary, and I saw you were doing this one, and I'm like, well, he's busy. He's going to do that one, and I didn't want to impose to ask if I could come on. So
No,
I'm
you
like,
would not be imposing. You're not be imposing at all.
well, I mean, it's a paid for thing, or somebody requested it, and I know it's your audience and
Well,
everything. So I was
Terminator
like,
was done gun ho for you. He was excited.
oh,
So
cool. That's cool. Okay.
yeah. And if any other thing, feel free to message me anytime.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
Anytime.
definitely.
And
Yeah.
everyone bring up Jesse Smollett. What's up with all the Jesse Smollett?
Where's that come from?
So Jesse Smollett was an Alien Covenant. He didn't do it. It was someone else, right? But good night to everyone out there. Thank you guys. We will see you guys down the road.
Yep. Later
Later.
everybody.